Well, we're at Oxbow Lakes, got 5 days ahead of us. Let's try and go and catch some fish. £14 bar of gold here at Oxbow Lakes. First fish of the session, and hopefully I'll have some more. Yes! How big is it, buddy?
£16 on the nose.
Nice.
On the plum. Basically from when we started we had to change a few rigs, but to be honest, it's paid off at last.
I'm here with my good buddy Tom. He's caught himself a lovely fish here, one of the bigger residents of the lake here. A nice £22 12 lady or male fish here could well do some upper figures in maybe a couple of years' time. Well done, mate. First night.
Thanks, bud.
Can't be bad, buddy. Hey? On this part of the DVD, I thought we'd talk about the actual baits that here at Legacy we sell. In front of us here we've got a selection of 4 main baits currently sold on the market. The Z-Mix Banana, which was the first ever sort of production of that bait, which I was using before I even started Legacy. A few of the team members who are still with me today are still using it, sort of 8-9 years on. The one to our right here, next to it, is one we call the Energy. It's a really sweet, creamy, caramelly type bait. It really has a lot of different amino attractants in it. It's also, again, I really designed that one mainly for day ticket fishing. You know, the fish are constantly being caught, and the natural sugars that are added to this bait actually really do help with the recovery period. We fish winters, and I wanted a bait that would go soft in cold water as well as obviously go soft in warm water. And although most of the baits I do are quite softish baits, they really do, you know, the breakdown time on them is really good. They will go really soft, and you know, they may sit on the bottom for a couple of days, say, untouched, but if you were to put a finger on them, they would just crumb up. The Zone was a bait that I thought, well, look, you know, with the winter fishing being so hard, let's have a colour that's quite bright and visible in winter. Let's have a bait that breaks down in cold water. So many a time, using water straight out of the fridge, I put base mixes together and came up with different tests over the period of a year. I made the Zone bait quite digestible. On many occasions where we've had fish in the winter where they have been feeding, you know, there is clear evidence that the Zone is going through them really well. It is a nice, again, nice unique flavour. No one knows the flavour except myself. It's a combination of a few, which makes it quite unique. We've had loads of guesses on it, but in all, it's a really good bait. The creme de la creme of Legacy, the forefront of Legacy. Although the banana was the first ever trial product of the Z Mix, the plum was the forefront of it all. What you will notice is I don't try and copy other companies. What I try and do is incorporate my own individuality on every product that I make. Obviously, all the baits are very digestible. Like I said, they're quite soft. There's lots of goodness in them. That one there particularly is the banana. And you do get a proper banana smell. This one here, lovely caramelly smell. Again, with the Zone, it falls apart lovely. It dries well, leaving a lovely skin on it. Ideal for winter. And, well, like I say, the creme de la creme, the Z Mix plum. It's caught me more fish than any other bait out I've ever used, and I've been fishing over 20 years. And I'm not saying that because I own Legacy. I'm saying it because that's the God's truth. Obviously, with all the products, we try and incorporate pop-ups. I've just now started to do a wafter range. We've got glugs, and all the glugs have my own unique twist to them. The Goop is a new product that I brought out last year. It's had quite a good bit of feedback on it. I'd happily eat it, no problems. Doesn't do me any harm. Certainly won't do any fish any harm. Again, another product, but obviously the wafters, we've got the glugs, the twists and the little extras that go in this and make this different to what you get on the market. But along with these products, I've started this recently. I took a base pellet and I infused it with my own touch of Legacy. Lads that have used it, the match boys that have used it have done really well on it. Obviously we're selling products that are available. It's the products that are not available to mainstream carpers is the ones that we're working on behind the scenes. There's two products. I'm working on a product called Reaction Paste. Now I've already sent off for the patent. I've got the patent, so that's not an issue. All I've got to do now is refine it. It's unique. I'm not going to give too much away. It's got a bit of a way to go before it's complete, but I think once it's done and once it's released, I think quite a few anglers are going to be using it. Now this is the OCD. It's unique. It's full of natural proteins, natural aminos that only come from about 2 or 3 different plants around the world. This is a product that will be released soon. We've had a lot of people interested in wanting it. Got a nice fish here, Tom. What's that weigh, buddy?
14 on the nose, mate.
Been hard going, isn't it?
Yeah.
For some of us, anyway. This man here is now into his second fish. What we'll do now is we'll put this fish back and you can show us what rig you caught this on. Now, here at Legacy, I'm a great believer of helping small businesses. I'm a small business. I'm not looking to compete with the big boys in this country or even in Europe. I'm just looking to survive and to provide a bait for customers so I can earn a living to support my kids. And it's the same with the guy who's brought these out, Sharp Tackle. And I've spoken to Matthew and Graham, Sharp Tackle, and having had some products sent through and stuff like that, I have to say I've been very impressed. Their putty is the best putty I've ever used. You know, if you're going to use rig putty, you don't want it where it's hard to mould on and then it flies off on a cast. It doesn't go rock hard. You haven't got to put a lighter to it to soften it down in winter. And it sticks. It proper sticks to the rigs. They're hooks, they do cranks, they do curve, they do wide gate, they do the chods. and there's a lot more coming in the range. Products like fake corn. The good thing about fake corn or fake maize is, you know, they can be used and utilised. Now, there is, I admit, you know, there is a lot of fisheries. Some are saying they don't like them because they never break down, never dissolve. If you know, it's the individual of the owner of the lake who makes that decision. I'm a fan of them, but I wouldn't then go break the rules and use them on a water that's banned them. I have great faith in the cranks. I had an issue to start with, but that was my problem. It was because I was using the wrong rig for that particular hook pattern. I think, you know, the lads are more than willing to help. They're, you know, the products are good. So, you know, if you're fed up of paying, you know, £4 or £5 a packet for a packet of hooks, a packet of sharp tackle hooks are going to cost you $1.99. Your putty, I think, is about $3.99. But yes, worth having a look. That's the sharp tackle, guys. This is Legacy Baits. This is what I'm about, offering good bait, quality baits that actually proven to catch fish.
Okay, this is second fish today. It's a 11 pound, 10 ounce mirror caught on the wafter.
Oh, I did lose one at the net.
Oh.
But I made extra sure I got this one.
Yeah. Well,
Took me time.
1614 of pure Oxford fishery carp. Look at that. Well done, buddy.
Fighting machine.
The real deep down you is the whole universe.
Here's another £15 common I've just had after about 60 hours of my session. Lost a couple, one on the first evening down the far margin, and I lost one today stalking just down the side of my swim. nailed on a lovely stiff fluorocarbon hook link on a plumb wefter.
£16.7 on the Z Mix Banana on a 24-hour session at Oxborough Lakes.
Okay, let's talk about that rig I just had that fish on. Well, it's a rig I used years ago on a syndicate water that I have many a fish on, to be fair. I've kind of gone back to it. I've tried a lot of the new so-called rigs that have come out, but for me, is this? It's my own design. I came up with this years ago, and basically what I've done is I've got a nice supple braid here. And with the water being so like clear here, I mean it's like tap water, it really is clear. I found that with this introduction of this crank hook, I just found that I was getting really good hook holds with it. It's important that if you're on a lake where you're going to get a chance of having multiple catches, to have plenty of rigs made up. Products I'm using this year, and I have to say, very good. Every hook I've had so far, and I can speak for all the guys in the team that are using them, have been 100% sharp. Their quality control is really good, and so far the product has been really second to none so far. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose my hook, and I'm using a size 6 sharp tackle crank. The way I work with this is like you would normally, hook point pointing down and pull that through. Now what I would do next, I get a micro swivel or a small swivel size, in this case a size 16. I would then thread that through. So that sits like that. I then grab that tail, what you would normally tie your hair with, yeah, make sure you pulled enough through, and I would put that back through the eye of the hook. So that leaves a little loop dangling there. Okay. Now, what I tend to do is, with the hook point pointing upwards, okay, so I go underneath the hook as my starting point. I go underneath towards me, underneath towards me, and I do that 5 times. Okay, I then, as you would do with a KD style rig, pull that swivel back and go 5 more times up the shaft of the hook. Then I come back a couple of times, trim off access from this end here, so I've got a nice supple hook length. What we're going to do is pass this back through knotless knot style, as you would, and pull that down. Okay, pull that down. Notice how the swivel is sitting at the moment, and just give that a pull to pull this whole thing nice and tight there. It's important to do that. Now what I do is I grab the tail that holds the swivel on until there's just a little bit of a free movement on there. As you can see, that's literally a free movement. Okay, then what I do now is I would trim about 1 centimetre or half a centimetre away from the hook, because if we've got a bit of wind, I'd normally go in my bivvy or somewhere nice and sheltered, and I would melt that carefully not melting your main line because you don't want to be breaking off, and that just stops that from slipping. Trim off a bit of the tail, leave a little bit for slippage. Don't normally slip, I've never had one slip on me. Now what we do now, we pull that tight. Like any good bait owner, we'd use our own products. I'm using my Legacy wafters. These ones are 14mm. The fish in here don't seem to like big baits, so we've gone down to 14s. These wafters are lovely, they really balance beautifully. I'm going to show you how I tie these on. Now I use bait floss with my wafters. A lot of people use it. And the way I do mine is I thread that through there, through the middle of the wafter as you would. Get a small boilie stop, and I pull that down onto the wafter. As you can see, I leave a nice long tail for tying it on the swivel. And again, you can adjust the swivel so it's nicely done. And like you should, trim off, and then you would, oh, I don't know if this is going to work with this wind, but we'll see. As you can see there, I've managed to get away with that quite nicely. I've just checked the hook. That's melted down underneath. Now that is now ready to be cast out, and I can promise you now that ain't coming off. And that just sits beautifully on the bottom of the lake.
Right, so I haven't got a clue what time it is in the morning, but after 5 days of blanking and one move and 2 lost fish, I'm finally in to one that's held on the longest so far. I'm not holding my breath, obviously. I don't want to look like a muppet on film. But there's fight in here, don't there? On the last day, not even the last night, I go and bag a new PB at 24 pounds 8 ounces on a plum wafter to the far margin after remove, and 2 other lost fish. I don't know what else to say because it's my only fish caught, and I still couldn't be happier.
Check that, buddy. This one's the best one. Yeah. Are you ready? Oh my God!
Yeah, it's definitely thunder, lads, isn't it?
That one thunder.
That's why I said it's thunder.
Joe, I think we are. I think those who are staying. Sorry, old boy. I know you're off soon, aren't you?
I've had 3 fish, mate. I'm happy as Larry, you know what I mean?
Oh god, yeah. What rig have you been using?
I've been using the IQD rig, but I haven't been using IQ. I've been using £10 ESP Ghost. I'm using 15mm zone wafter on it. Fished with probably 5 handfuls of 12mm zone around it. Just an opinion, but the actual wafters, or the wafters, sorry, they look kind of washed out compared to what the pop-ups look like in colour. And personally, I think that's an edge, because it isn't going to take too long for that bait to look really washed out, which gives the impression it's been there a while, which I think has been an edge for me, because all my fish have been on that same rig, same bait. So, you know,
that is the key, isn't it, with rigs like that? It's all to do with the confidence. I mean, Adam, you've had an absolute nightmare, haven't you, start? What's going wrong, mate? What do you think is happening? I know, you know, we're going to say it on film. You know, the big company leaders shouldn't go snap. We had Adam had a Nash Fusion camo leader, literally unpull itself. I mean, obviously you're using, you know, you come away from that now. What are you using now?
Klingon, Nash Klingon leaders.
Yeah. They are good, aren't they?
Splicing it myself, big on spice, just so they're really strong.
I'm on the Klingon as well. Yeah, it's really, really good Klingon.
Heavy.
Who else is using Klingon? You're using Klingon as well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got you onto it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because you're actually really, I'm an avid fan of it. I really am.
Tom, you've had quite a lot of success on the Snowman rig, haven't
Yeah.
you? I don't think you've changed this year, have you?
Up till now, the last
You've not
year,
changed, have you?
Caught near everywhere I went, but I can't seem to be.
Yeah, you've been a bit of a machine, haven't you?
Yeah.
We're all sitting here again. It's all about opinions, and like I said, you're on the IQ rig, aren't you? You know, and you can't fault it, can you?
no, I mean, I was sceptical up until about 2 months ago. Never used it, and I thought the way the fluorocarbon exits the eye, I thought there was just too much of it. It's narrowed the gape too much. But seeing caller videos and comments on Facebook of people that have used it, especially Dwayne as well, said
Aggressive.
yeah, it's aggressive. So I thought I've got to try it. Tried it on my syndicate. Hook hold, bang smack in the middle. 3 fish on it here in this session. Hook hold, bang smack in the middle. Can't fault it. I mean, I ain't using IQ, I'm using Ghost, but it's the same thing. It's fluorocarbon. It works brilliant.
Is it a soft or a stiff link?
It's stiff. It's more stiff than supple.
Yeah.
It's not really stiff, but it's more like a semi-stiff if you want to go that far.
Yeah.
With a little bit of putty sort of towards the lead end, it sort of kicks away nicely every time. So if you get an aborted take or a pickup and they've done you, it's always going to kick back out. Especially with a wafter.
You're on a similar rig, aren't you, Adam?
Yeah.
But what are you using?
Again, it's sort of a combination between sort of an IQD rig and a sort of a combi link, really.
Right.
But again, like the stiffness, I love the resetting capabilities. I never fish a super supple rig anymore, or a big long break on a combi rig or anything like that. It's a tiny couple of mil.
See, I am.
Because I mean, the waters I fish are just riddled with big bream and small carp, and I know those fish are picking it up before I actually nail one. And I'm paranoid about, especially watching that Quarter Underwater DVDs, of how many times it is picked up and how many times it just can end up tangling. They're even like fishing silty lakes. I'll fish a big long helicopter rig, but still a fairly stiff-ish hook link. So you've got that resetting, but it still doesn't plummet and kick up in the silt.
Josh, you've just turned one of your rigs, haven't you? Just changed one of your.
Both. Yeah, I wasn't Snowman, but to be honest, you've had quite a success on that, haven't you?
Yeah, very much so.
So yeah, I've changed both rods over to that hook link, you know, that rig. But then I like Tom. I like the Snowman rig. I can't. Yeah. I always get usually I use plum. I get a plum 16mm plum boilie, trim off the top of it. Get a 12mm plum pop-up, trim that down a little bit, and they sit nicely.
Yeah. Are you fishing bottom baits or are you fishing wafters?
I'm using wafters.
You're using wafters as well? Yeah. There is a consensus in carp angling these days. No one hardly uses bottom baits anymore.
Although saying that, I kind of got a bit caught up with the IQD rig and the multi-rig as well.
Yeah.
But before, like a muzzer rig, nobody uses muzzer rigs anymore, and I used to love that.
Yeah.
One straight out the bag, plug it 3/4 way full of cork, and it's just still KD rig whipping.
Yeah.
And used to nail them. Yeah, on a nice size 8 or size 6 curve.
What baits are people
putting that back on?
here, then? So what's the most?
Well,
what's the most efficient
I
amount
must
here at
admit,
the moment?
I'm on my you know, I'm on the most 2 used baits. I think my company's sort of selling right now. I think, you know, the Z-Mix Plum is proven. It doesn't need really much introduction other than it's a proven bait. Works all year round. And then the zone is really coming to its own. You're a great avid fan of the Plum OCD, the Plum and Zone together, aren't you? Yeah, I have to say, yeah.
I always swap it over, so if I'm baiting Plum, I'll fish a Zone on top because it stands out with the white and the pink, and vice versa, the pink and the white.
I've had success with that. I've mixed them two together.
Always, I never fish matching the hatch, so to speak. I always fish swapped over.
When I designed the Zone initially, we you know, the testings through the winter period was really good. You know, we had some really good sort of photographs and footage back then of fish where they'd been seriously on the munch in the middle of winter, and the Zone was coming out, you know, coming out the tube, as we say.
Well, I remember like joining my club lake. It was since the start of May, which is when they opened, right until sort of the autumn. I'd had maybe 4 fish. Admittedly, not fishing hard, but then I was pre-baiting very heavily between those sessions. And then eventually hit this one spot that I was priming for a good sort of 6 months, and had three in 24 hours on a mixture of Zone and OCD.
Yeah. Is that club water difficult then, or?
One of the lakes is, yeah. There's about 18 waters they own, and one of which is a gorgeous 6-acre state lake in the middle of woods.
I suppose really, you know, what's your chosen bait for this year?
Mine's going to be, I'm going to stick to what I know.
You're going to be on the Zone all year?
I'm going to be Zone, OCD and a bit of Plum.
Yeah, Tom, what are you going to be on this year?
Primarily would be Plum, but
I know, you're a sod for cut. You won't come off it, will you?
using Zone at the same time.
Yeah.
But Plum is definitely number 1.
Yeah, what about yourself, John? Do I need to ask this question?
Well, we've got a new one going under test called the Salt. That's all I'll say about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be primarily targeting that, but the OCD is always going to be in my armoury. If I feel that the Salt ain't doing it for me at the time, OCD's going out.
Steve, you're probably the only one here that will use every bait range I do. And bear in mind, the bait range I do, you know, just a quick plug here, is Energy, the Zone, Z-Mix Banana, Z-Mix Plum, and the new one, OCD, and obviously the one that's sort of we're keeping quite quiet about really too much, just given that we've got a name for it, and that's the Assault.
Yeah.
You know, so you use every one, and you've done all right on every one, haven't you?
I think my most favourite, which what you told me to pull away from, is the banana.
Yeah,
the Z-Mix Banana. A lot of success on that, but yeah, I mean, I'm doing all right on the Plum and the Zone.
You can't go wrong with it.
No.
What about you, Josh?
Depends on the venue.
If anybody doesn't know, this is my son.
The club water, definitely the Plum, definitely. I can't come off that. If I do a local day ticket OCD, I think Joel personally, I've never had much success on the Zone, but I don't think I've used it enough. That's the thing. So
I think if you don't use something enough, you don't. Yeah, it's confidence, isn't it?
Exactly.
Adam. Finally, Adam, what are you on this year?
Confidence in a bag, Plum.
Yeah.
But I do want to see if I can bribe you into giving me a bit of Assault, to be honest. I'll give you the footage if you give me some bait.
See, this is what I have to tolerate. That's a good one. For me, do you know what? For me, I'll use whatever. I'm happy to use all my range, if I'm honest.
Most definitely.
If I'm honest, I have my favourite. That's the Z-Mix Plum. It's caught me more fish than any other bait I've ever used over 20 plus years I've been fishing. We've all got our preferences, and that's the beauty of it. Again, guys, you know, thanks for coming on this social and you know, and us filming and
no problem.
You know,
get on the legacy.
Get on the legacy, yeah, definitely. Well done, lads.
My first fish in, lost one, decided to put it in the same place on the Zone, and well, persevered, and look what I've got in.
first Oxborough Carp Lake carp anyway. Really happy to get this one. Came within a minute, maybe 2 minutes of a recast. Surprised the PVA bag melted. There's a bag of crushed zone. Oh no, sorry, the bag of crushed plum with a small 14mm cut down plum wafter and a tiny bit of pink corn just so it looked like a bit of washed out plum. Right,
ready?
Mate, thank you very much. Combi rig, sharp tackle, twister hook, size 6. Really sharp, lovely hooks.
Well, I'm here with Charlie. What's happened here, buddy?
Unfortunately, I've picked up a turned fish straight after the cast. Only about a minute into the cast, really. You know, it had been in the water about a minute.
Yeah, and this is the rig that was on the fish. And what I have an issue with is this: that we have all tried to pull this swivel away from this inline lead. All leads, no matter what your rigs are, should be able to come away from the hook length. But Charlie's put a fair amount of carp care on the wound, and we're going to put it back.
Morning. First fish from Oxborough. Kind of a relief for me because I've seen fish showing over the left hand rod all night. Had a couple of liners. Starting to think there was something wrong with the way the rig was sitting, but luckily enough, bobbins just dropped back to the floor, struck into it, and yeah, we've got our first fish of the session. First time, first fish, let's have it.
Get it there, son.
Nice one, mate.
No, mate, pleasure.
Over the moon with that.
Oh, it you go.
There we go. She went 14.5, but I've got to minus the sling because I forgot to zero it before we weighed her. But first Oxborough Common, absolutely over the moon with this. OCD wafter on an IQD rig. Fished with a couple of pouches full of 12mm zone around it. Happy days. Let's get her back. Right, so this is the rig I've been using. Starting from this end, it's a short section of Nash Klingon leader in gravel brown. Very supple, easy to use. Moving down, we've got a gravel coloured lead clip system from Sharp Tackle onto a lead that I'll get off someone off my syndicate water. Moving down, we've got a tungsten anti-tangle sleeve on an IQD rig, which is actually tied up with Ghost. And there's your little OCD wafter on the end. Little bit of putty at the end, at the business end, so when it drops, it falls down nice and slow and sits perfect on the lake bottom. And I've lifted it up in the margins, and every time you drop the lead, it sits down lovely on the bottom. And that's what's been doing the business for me. Size 6 curved shank from Sharp Tackle again. Awesome hook holds, very sharp even after 2 fish. Lovely jubbly.
wafter, 17 £2 common.
Hello, buddy, how you doing? All right? Good there, lovely fish you got there.
Lovely fish, isn't it?
I don't know if you guys can see, but Steve's sitting down. Steve's a disabled angler, and you know, this place is Oxborough is ideally suited for disabled anglers. At the end of the day, there's enough of us around, you know, if you see an angler struggling, help them out, and then end up with fish like this. Well done, buddy.
Thank you very much.
I'm playing another common, hopefully, and getting another fish in, hopefully. I've got one in a retainer to my left there, which is near the overflow that's coming in. The fish is okay and doing well. Adam kindly put that in for me because this one went screaming off as we were sorting that one out. These fish in here, they give themselves a really good account of themselves. They don't mess about. Oh. You never know what we're going to do with these fish. Every time you play a carp or you play a fish, you don't know what size it is, you don't have no idea whether it's one of the biggies in the lake or whether it's just one of the mid-doubles that are in here. One thing you do know is you're going to get a good scrap and you, oh, that's just gone over that dorsal fin. Oh, hate that feeling. Oh, don't do that. It's just wallowing in these margins, and on these light rods I've got here, they're just, you know, it's a lovely play, it really is. I've had this fish, or playing this fish from about a rod length off the spit over there. I'm using a plum wafter, which I love on my on the rig that I've used since I'd say probably the early 90s. Oh, I hate that when it does that. Come on, up you go, up you go, up you go. Oh, look at that. Nice little. A whole kitchen in there. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that was a scrap and a half, that one, I must admit. Oh, in water temperatures of 12.4 degrees, I can't complain. He's been in a retainer for about 20 minutes, so he's a little bit wild, a little bit lively, as we say. Caught him on a snowman rig with a bit of crush zone and some freebies around the area. I managed to bag this lovely 14-pound full common. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take some photographs of this, and then we're going to show you something a little bit bigger that I've got in the net behind me. Ah, right, finally, behave. 20 pounds 6 of Oxborough Common, you can't go wrong with that. Certainly chuffed with this one. It ran off 20 minutes later after I'd had a 14.4 Common. Caught a lovely plum wafter with a few freebies around it and a bit of chopped plum with it as well, off the about rod length off the spit this time. And I'm well happy, to say the least. I'm well happy. Caught on the old legacy rig, which I sort of used back in the early 90s over a syndicate water known as Westoe, and was doing really well with it. Back then using the old supple Dacron and stuff like that, so thought I'd try and incorporate it into the wafters, and it's working well. So far I've had bottom lip hook holds on nearly every fish, so obviously doing something right.
I caught this 13 pound 12 common at 7:15 this morning on a snowman pop-up of zone, and it put up a fairly good fight. Caught this common of 15.4 just off the island, about 10 foot away. Caught it on a zone snowman, as I did the first one. Beautiful fish, really good fight.
Nice 19 pounds 2 common. I'm on the last night. We may get some more, we may not, but if we end on this, I'll be a happy chappy. It's been a good session, been good filming.
Okay, so at the early hours of the morning, line pulls up tight, no line taken, but admittedly I was up against the far margin with just a single plum wafter, again on the legacy rig, so that's doing me a world of good, especially in these really hard fishing conditions. It was absolutely frozen this morning when I woke up to net this fish, so she's actually behaving herself very well, given that she's had a bit of a rest, but not bad for an upper double coming to the end of the session. I'm going to get a couple of pictures and slip this one back because I think it's home time.